anyway. So we've got plenty of people on, and we'll make a start because it is a beautiful day.
Yeah,
I don't want to keep people away from their own beekeeping. So it is just marvelous today.
I say this is being recorded as well, so
it is. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's make a start. So we're going to look in the top bar hive, and you can see a little bit of the top bar hive in front of you. We'll open it up and have a good look through in a second. They, I believe, originated in Kenya, and I think on the basis that they're a very easy hive to make, and you don't need to have lots of equipment to make the kind of accurate cuts and dimensions that you would for a normal hive. And they're a little bit more natural, I guess. So, you know, you don't have frames and such. One thing I would like, I don't know if you can do this, Sam, but if you could maybe just, if everybody's off mute or they can take themselves off mute, it'd be great to get questions as we're going along. And because it's a bit weird out here because I'm stood in the apiary on my own. People think I'm absolutely crazy talking to myself. And it'd be nice to get a little bit of feedback that the people are still around listening to me. So while I'm chattering away, so lots of questions as they come. Whatever you think of, then happy to take them. So anyway, well, let's have a look in this top bar hive because you don't want to be listening to me chat. And just tell me what you can see or whether you can see things okay. I'm just going to lift the lid off. It's basically just a big box, a big old lid. Let's see if we can see inside. That's good. I'm not hearing anybody asking questions yet. So the top bar hive is this kind of little box here. I've got my bees in this half, and we've got this big divider in, and then we've got an area that's spare, and we could just basically move this up and put more bars on if we want to make the thing a little bit bigger. So basically all you need to make one of these things is, well, make some wood for the box, and then you put the top bars on. So these bars, so they're exactly 35 mil wide, which means you can pop them ideally. Well, that's the sort of standard Hoffman spacing on normal hives. To give you the kind of bee space between the combs. I've put this, made them this shape, so a triangular shape, so that the bees are encouraged to build the comb off the bottom. And then you just pop them in the hive like that. So there's one, there's two, and there's three. And you fill up your hive like that, tipping your bees.
I've got a question. Hello.
Oh, great, yeah.
You put a line of wax along the bottom of your...
I didn't put any, on these, I put nothing on them. I just as they were.
I've got one top bar hive. I've got a bit of beading, and then I've been putting wax, but I don't want to do that if it's not necessary. No,
well, I think if you've got them this shape, I just put them in as they were, basically just cut them to shape and put them this side. Other people, I think, have cut a slot in them and then put a small slit, a small sort of ½ inch of comb for them to start off. But you know, this, as you'll see, seems to work pretty well.
What mine is a piece of dowel, so it's rounded, just stuck on.
Okay, I'd have thought that would have been okay. Do you have bees in there at the moment?
Yes, it's the first time I've had it.
Oh, great, great.
I got it last year, and we've got bees in. Okay,
that's great. So this one, so we'll see how it's progressed, whether you think it's good, better, indifferent. But the bees moved in. I'm trying to think of what the size of a swarm it would be. I'd imagine a sort of size of a small loaf of bread, or reasonable sort of loaf of bread. That was the size of the cluster, so not too bad. They moved in on, I think, the 14th of May, so we're just about a month in now. So they had absolutely nothing. I think it was a cast, so it took them a little while to get going. So now we can have a look inside. Before I do that, you'll see I drew a line along here, which means that when I take the top bars out to have a look, I make sure I put them in the same place back and along the same line. So, right, here we are. So let's have a little look inside. There might be nothing in here. No, there's definitely something in there.
Something in there.
There's nothing in there. I'm going to just move it down so that you move the camera down so you can see.
The sides of the top hive, they have to be sloped to stop the bees building to the sides, don't they?
Yeah, I think that encourages them. So can you see in there?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Is that making sense to you all?
Yep.
Yeah.
And here the bees. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we
Feed them soon.
Barry?
Yeah.
So they didn't have any syrup feeding or anything, they were just literally left to their own
absolutely,
devices.
yes. I've done nothing with these guys at all. Kind of think, well, if they're going to be natural, then this is as natural as it's going to get.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've done. Yeah, you certainly can feed them if you need to. I do feel that at the moment these guys are a kind of a critical stage of their development. So they've been here a month. The swarm turned up, and as you know, they've got a few young sort of nurse bees and a few foraging bees. It's mainly nurse bees and foraging bees, mainly nurse bees. I think 70% nurse bees in a swarm. So these nurse bees and the bees will be probably 5, 6 weeks old, and so coming to the end of their life really. So the colony will have been dwindling a bit in terms of number of bees, and it's the queen's been laying, obviously you'll see in a second, and we want to see that she's making some kind of progress. So we can pull these apart, and thankfully the bees did listen, and they've built the comb just on the bars. Can we see that okay?
A bit to your right and then down a bit. There you go.
A bit to my right. No, that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's just the very end piece of comb. I'm going to leave it fairly closed up for them. That's one of the beauties of it. You see that when you take the lid off, the whole colony is still sealed up. It's really quite nice.
Barry,
So
do you think
Yep.
you put obviously a cast in there? Do you think you could use it to like attract the swarm naturally to come along and just like an ordinary bait hive? Do you think that would work, or is it better using?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I don't see why you couldn't use it as a bait hive.
And the other thing we're thinking of building one, putting an observation window in that we can take off and have a look as well without having to take the whole thing apart. Do you think that would sort of be successful?
Absolutely, yeah. So long as it's covered up most of the time and nicely insulated. So, but this is nice. You could just like lift them up.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And you can see, I don't know if you can see, because I can't see what you're seeing, but they do have some honey here. I was quite worried that they wouldn't have any honey, but they've been collecting.
Barry, how will you extract the honey?
I won't.
Right.
In a word. So these are more for me as an experiment. I should have mentioned that Neil Page gave me the hive, and at the time I was thinking, well, what am I going to do with a top bar hive? So I made up the top bars, and then I must admit I'm kind of slightly smitten by it. It's lovely. We're going through. Can you see that? Okay.
A bit closer if possible.
Oh yeah, we can bring it closer. Now, I don't know about you, but I can see brood on this one. Let me just have a look on that side. If you spot the queen, let me know, because I'll mark her if we can. So this is full of brood. And I think the brood is starting to hatch, which will be about right, or some of it's starting to hatch. The one thing you have to be very careful with these types of hives is that you don't have the flexibility, because you don't have a frame, you don't have the flexibility in how you can hold them. So you can't really hold the frame flat to look at the bees, because then there's too much weight. Oh, bring this one out and have a look at this.
Oh, look at that.
So yeah, you can't really, you can't twist from side to side, but you can twist that way and look that way. But and I am gonna look for the queen while I'm here. But it makes all those kind of things a little bit more difficult. You know, finding the queen and doing the examinations. Somebody did ask me if bee inspectors, like the regional bee inspector, would be bothered by this. And David Burns came to inspect all my colonies, and he had a look at this. I think at the time it didn't have any bees in it, but he said he was quite happy to look in them. But it does take a bit longer.
Yeah, you've got to be more delicate and everything else with those.
Yeah. So how are we doing there? So we can see that one okay?
It's still being
counting the
grainy with the image.
Is it? Oh, that's a shame. But what I'm seeing, I can see here. I don't know. Let me see if you can see that.
No,
See that around this area. It's all open and there are eggs in there, so I'm kind of very pleased with that.
Yeah.
So obviously the queen's there and she's laying, and she's
was there.
she was there. Yes, the queen was here. Let me. I'm sorry. I didn't quite catch that. It was something about the bees being calm. Is that right?
Yeah, very calm.
Yeah, they're incredibly calm, aren't they? Yes, I don't know. I'd like to say, oh, well, that's because I'm keeping them in a sort of a natural hive, and when we examine them like this, we're not disturbing them too much. But I don't know if that's the case. You know, I can't actually say that that's the case. This is a swarm that I collected, so I don't know anything about its kind of heritage, if you like. But yes, like you say, they are very, very calm. Mind you, we do have the perfect day for it, don't we?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
If these bees are calm, are your bees in the normal hive, your natural hives, calm as well?
The majority of them are.
Yeah.
I think I was saying just as we started, or maybe just before I started, that we've got I've got a couple of colonies here. One of them was particularly nasty, and I brought it here because it was causing trouble at my out apiary. So I've moved. Ah, there we go. I found the queen. And now here's a problem. I'll just put that there. Beginner mistake. I left my pen. Hold on. I'm just going to mark these guys.
Yeah, he told me the story. He's moved the bees from another apiary to this one so he can sort them out without being in trouble with the other neighbours and stuff like that.
What can you see here? Oh, you can't really see them there, can you? So I'm just going to mark the queen, if you don't mind. I'm going to mark her in the standard colour, which is yellow. Obviously, it should be she should be blue. Oh, I know she should be blue. But problem is, blue doesn't show up very well to me. Oh, there she is. Right there, she's here. She's. Let's see if I can show you where she is. She's just here. Look.
No,
I don't know if you guys can see.
Well,
You probably won't see her, but.
We'll do after you put a pen mark on her.
Yeah, I got to catch
might be all right if you hold it still for a few seconds. Yeah, it might come clear, might render clear.
All right, you've got to bring her up closer to us, I think.
So we've got. So there she is. Can you see her?
Bring her a bit further over to you. That's it. There we go.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, good shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So oh, I've dropped her.
Oh no. At least you dropped her in the box, yeah? Or not?
Yeah. No, she's in the box here. Yeah.
Unlike me yesterday, where I had the frame slip out of my hand and the bees went flying and went, yep, I know where the queen is. She's on the floor somewhere. And she was.
Oh.
Luckily, I spotted her.
Right, I'm going to try and capture here. Boom. All right, she's got a mark on her now. Oh, I dropped her again.
It's hard enough doing live TV with animals, let alone insects.
Yeah. So, well, here she is. She's marked, and I'll just pop her back on this frame. And
make sure she's been accepted back.
Yeah. Well, she is now. She's probably trying to run to hide somewhere. There she goes. I think she's around the end there. Yeah.
We don't plan to mark queens on this kind of show.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't the plan. But you always take an opportunity, and then you realise that actually.
Watch you though, because that really worries us when we try and mark a queen, because we think we're going to hurt her.
Well, the trick is to. I can't see her here. She's gone into hiding. So I'll pop her back in here anyway.
We never seem to be able to find them once we've marked them the next time anyway.
No, the trick with catching the queen, and I was at the beginning of the season, I was very nervous about it myself. After buying those little queen capturing devices and stuff like that. But if you're trying to capture the queen, there's no bee here, but if you grab the problem is if you grab her by the abdomen, then you've basically done her a big damage, and she's not going to be any good. So as long as you can miss the abdomen when you grab her, and if you can grab her by the wings, ideally, then you sort of pick her up by the wings. I'll just try this guy here. I'm not sure, this is a bit more difficult to catch normal bees. So if you catch a bee by the wing, if you catch a bee by the wing, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're okay. Then if you put your thumb down, I don't know if you can see this okay. You put your thumb down?
Yeah.
And then they put their feet down on there, and then you just grab with the other hand, and then you've kind of got the bee caught.
Okay,
and then
by her feet.
And then you can mark it, yeah?
Okay, is that safer than using one of those little cages then?
I think if you're more comfortable using a cage, then use a cage. Don't feel obliged to do this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But then actually I just feel.
Thank you.
I just feel an urge to mark her, little worker.
Oh.
I'm guessing she's a little young worker as well, because she hasn't tried to sting me. She's got a very furry back. So there we are. We've got the mark the worker.
Yeah.
Gonna confuse you next time.
That'll confuse me next time I go look. Yeah, these queens in these top bar hives are very small, aren't they? Anyway, just to finish off, we got to the other end here. Yeah. So there we are. We've
How many
through it.
frames of brood did you have?
Well, let's go through and count again. So that didn't have brood. So this one has brood. Yeah. One thing. That's one. I'm not going to lift them out because I'm getting bees trapped between the two now. There's two. And this one's three. This is four. There we go. Yeah, that's five. So one thing that I particularly liked about this when I saw this hive developing, so you look here. So this actually shows up better on the next one. Let me just show you the next one. Yeah. So if you look at, so this is the top bar in situ. So this is against the front wall, and obviously the back wall would be here, but they haven't built out that far. You can sort of see how they've just nicely rounded it off around the front. There's no chance of it, attaching to the front. So it's completely self-contained, just attached from the back, from the top. really nice thing about it is when you open them up, see all this back edge is a bit different in shape. It's a bit more pointy. So they're obviously developing this back edge. And when you open up the hives early on, when they were really building the hive out, you could see clusters of bees just hanging off, sort of festooning off this back edge as they were building out the colony that way. And it's just a delight to watch. You know, just absolute delight, because you kind of get in.
Barry.
Yeah.
As the season goes on, I assume you have to add more bars to it as the colony grows.
Yes, I would imagine so. Yeah, hopefully.
Going to the other end of the season, do you then reduce it in the winter, or do you leave it the same, or what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Given that this is my first time at the top of my hive, I've got no idea. I think I would probably. Yeah, it depends how much it shrunk down. If they'd shrunk down and there's nothing on the combs, you know, and they've got all the stores that they need for winter, then I might remove the combs and close down the brood area or the area that they're on, to make it as small as it needs to be just for them. You know, the larger the area, the more they've got to warm up. So I always think that we can keep it as small as possible, and that's probably the best. But you know, there's only one entrance in the front here. It's completely sealed apart from that, so the bees have to kind of warm it up and then do the sort of regulation from there. But yeah, so I would make it as small as it needs to be, you know, without disturbing them too much.
So, Barry,
thank you.
if in the winter you how would you feed that if you did need to feed it through the winter?
So I know when I was talking to Neil about this, he did say I think on the edge he can put a slot in, and there's a feeder I think that's used in the States, a bit like you feed gerbils and things, which hangs off the side and then something pokes into the hive.
Oh.
I think if I was doing it, what I'd probably do is, I don't know if you can see, but if we, no, can you see in here? So I'd basically just lay a pat. You know, you get these ambrosia blocks of fondant.
Yeah.
I just cut a hole in one of those in the top of it, and then just slide it in the bottom.
Yeah, that's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, and just leave them to it. Yeah, but
yeah, they comb down further to get that. Would they just fly down and get it then?
I think they just drop down off the bottom and pick it up. I don't think that would be, you know, within the hive. I think, you know, they'd be happy with that.
Okay.
That's what I do. I really don't know what the best thing is, but that's what I would. You know,
we wait with anticipation while you have a practice.
Yeah.
Barry,
yeah. So that.
Barry,
yes.
Can I ask a question?
Because
I'm building one at the same time, but the ones I looked at had a vent in the bottom that was removable, so you could seal it back up again for the winter.
Okay.
But you could take the bottom panel off and just leave a normal grid at the bottom. That one hasn't got it, has it?
It hasn't, no. So I think there are two. I'm just putting the lid on. There are two schools of thought, I think, about whether you have an open mesh floor, effectively, which is what you've seen, and this one, which is just a solid floor.
Yeah.
My kind of history has been to have solid floors, and that's what I'm happy with. But people say, you know, the open mesh floors are good, and I don't think there's any significant difference between the two. I think for small colonies and young nukes and things like nukes and stuff like that, I think having a solid floor is better, because you want to get the warm. You want to make it easy for them to keep the hive warm, so that they can build out wax and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, I think in those cases it's worth having a floor you can certainly seal, and certainly that's the way I go.
Yeah, I've made mine so that I've got you know, a panel that I can just slide in, and
Sure.
that seals it up. And then if it's, you know, particularly hot in the summer, I can always remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got an open mesh floor, and they, I mean, I got them, they were swarm last July, like you, I was given the box.
Right.
And it's open mesh floor. They went through the winter fine, and I fed them by putting food in, like you said.
Oh, okay.
And then this year they swarmed.
Right.
And I've just saw last week, I've got the queen is, I've got eggs, so it's building up again.
Nice. So they're building up. So if you don't mind, I just want to show you something else now.
Before we move on,
sure.
Barry, I know you're this is your first one. The lady who's just told us she's overwintered them. I wonder if she can tell us if she got a crop, and if so, how much, and what did she do with it?
Hello. No, I didn't remove a crop, but if I get enough this year, what I'll do is just use it as comb.
Delicious.
Yeah, I mean, you can't extract in an extractor, obviously, and the other way is crushing it up and straining it, but I don't want to do that. So as I say, I'd use it as comb, but I haven't.
I think if I get a comb off that's fully capped, I've been in discussions with my local butcher who's got a he's got one of these vacuum packing machines, and I think I'll just put a whole comb and get it vacuum packed and try and sell those. But I think because they look absolutely gorgeous. Anyway.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
So just another thing before we move on. So you do like a Bailey comb change next year or whatever if you notice some of the comb being used too much. So that'd be quite easy to do. Just
I
guess
one thing generally about these type of hives is that they're obviously horizontal, so they make some aspects of beekeeping easier because you're not lifting off supers, big heavy supers and stuff like that. And if you can't lift them or don't want to lift them, or got a bad back or whatever, these are the horizontal hive idea I think is pretty good. Whether it's something like this, which is I guess more natural but more difficult to manage, or the horizontal hives like the Layens hives, which are effectively 14 by 12 hives but horizontally, and then you can just lift them out a frame at a time. So I think they're good in that respect, but more difficult to move around, that's for sure. So they're a bit bulkier.
Any other questions, anyone?
Well, the other thing I've done as well is I've made mine exactly the same size as the 14 by 12 box. So if they start if they start to swarm next year, what I could do if they produce multiple queen cells, etc., I could just take that frame out and put it straight into a nuke box and let them develop from there. And then if
it's very good, very good point. That
sort of forward.
Sorry, we're having problems with your microphone on that one. No, it's very broken.
Maybe you could type the message in the chat, and Sam could read it out.
Okay.
Barry, you joined slightly late, but can you tell me what's the size of your top bar hive? Roughly.
So I can't. I know it's the width of the hive is exactly the same as a national internally.
Yes.
So the length of the bars, and to the point that I don't know who it was that was just speaking, saying about he made his 14 by 12 size so that you could transfer between a normal hive and this. So you could take frames out of this and put them into a national hive. So the actual just single frames. So they're about, what's that, about 17 inches or about 42 centimeters in new money.
Yeah.
Probably about 18 inches deep, or no, but it's got to be less than that. It wants to be about 8 to 9 inches deep, doesn't it? I took a bunch of pictures with rulers in there and sent them to some somebody, I don't remember his name, who was interested. If you drop me your email address, I can forward you those photos. That'll give you those dimensions.
Yes, I was interested because the way you lifted the lid on, put the lid back, it looked very easy. We do have one here, but it's
Right.
you can't. It's more than one full stretch of one's arms.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm more. Yeah. Yes, I suppose it is. Well, it's about. Yeah. It's not that long. Or you could lift it that way, I guess.
But a couple 4 foot.
Yeah. No, I think it's less. I think it's probably 3 foot.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 foot. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, I've
No
got
problem.
the question we couldn't hear. The top bars, did you machine those yourself?
I did. Yes. Yeah. I'm a bit of a DIYer, sort of. Bit of a hacker DIYer. So yes, I've got a table saw, and that made it easy for me to cut these top bars to the right size and the right shape. Yes.
And the previous one about the 14 by 12s has replied saying I did based on a commercial box. So
right. Yeah. Good. You're good. Yes, people with more sense than me. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anyway,
So
let's just, if you don't mind, I just want to move on just for just for a bit of fun. So I've got a bait hive. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can move around to this bait hive. So this is my bait hive. I want to show you. So I set these up at all my out apiaries. So here it is. It's probably the oldest, nastiest hive that I've got. Roof that's fallen to bits. This bit at the back is just a post. And what I do is I get a ratchet strap, wrap it round a tree twice, and then the bottom of this I put in one side of the ratchet strap, and the top half there, and then tighten it all up, and then it can hang on the side of a tree. And then there's a few shims here and there to hold it in place. But anyway, this is my bait hive, and I think you can see. Can you see from where you are?
Yep, there's some bees
in
flying
the
in the front.
entrance. Oh, you can see bees flying in front. That's good. So this was, I noticed I had a swarm at one of my apiaries. I noticed that they moved in here. So great, brilliant. I've got these guys. So that's that was good. What I do with a top bar with a bait hive, so it's just a normal national box. I put 3 or 4 frames in the front, just to give them something to work on. One of them's full of old nasty comb, and then I screw that in place so that it can't move when I take it down and then move it around, and also screw on the top board. That makes sense.
Yep.
So then I brought this back home and thought it's about time I moved them into somewhere else. So you start prying this. I'd unscrewed this and then started to prise this off and think, well, it's a bit heavy. This is strange. That's one thing you ought to send alarm bells when you pick up, start taking off the cram board, and it feels a bit heavier than normal. So it usually means that some of the bars have stuck to the top. There's been some problems bee space. I think, oh, this is a bit heavy. This is really a bit on the heavy side. Let's have a look. And so what's going on here? What's going on? So, that's what's going on here.
They've ignored your bars.
Wow. So you're going to tell us what you do with that now, aren't you?
Yeah. But isn't it marvellous?
Lovely.
Yeah. It's an instant top bar hive. That's the but the problem is it's quite difficult to move stuff across. Let's just move so we can see this a bit closer now.
And whilst you're doing the moving around, there's another comment come in on the chat that having frames compatible with your other hives is much better to have. So you run national fits, national box, and things like that. But if you've got a top bar hive and you put a commercial frame in, then it's not going to fit your national, so you can't move it over straight away.
Sure. There we go.
Should have brought it around the back end so you could see it from the other side.
Yeah. How's this? Whoa. Slightly on the huh, as they say in Suffolk. We still can't see very well there, can we?
No.
Bring it a bit bring it a bit closer.
Or bring it round to the other side.
Yeah, it might be better around the other side because it's a bit sunny around that side.
We'll get you having floodlights next week.
Oh yes, oh that's much better, isn't it? Can you see that?
Yeah.
What can you see there?
Better.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
They've done well.
They have, yeah. And I'm kind of, well, at least I can count the frames now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So there's still
Hello?
bees in the existing frames, in the other frames.
It's really irritating. Look.
Oh, no.
Isn't that frustrating?
That tells a story, doesn't it?
It does, yes, it does. And the other thing about that, there we go. I'll let you just have a look at this while I just sort something out. I've lost an earpiece. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Given that I've got bees around me, I'm just going to move out of the way while I put the earpiece back in.
So, just out of interest, I reckon that's a north-south facing to the comb when it's in the box at the moment. I'm not sure what it was on the tree.
Oh, that's interesting because it's like if you've probably spotted it's diagonal, isn't it? It's diagonally in the hive. But yeah, buggers, aren't they? They
But
really
when I've made that mistake and ended up with wild comb in a box, they've always built it diagonally, and I think that means they can get more comb for the volume of the box than if they built it in lines across.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I'd never considered that. Yeah.
I'll say the middle comb would be the longest and going from corner to corner then. So
yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they could make make the central. Anyway, I'm just gonna pop this back now. I don't think we've got anything we can do with it. I'd be kind of happy. Well, happy or not? No, I wouldn't be happy to. The one thing I could do is just chop the. I'll take the frames out. I'll take the combs out one at a time and then put them into frames.
Yeah, but that would be a day where you're not on camera.
yes, there's nothing more boring than watching something like that. It's just take an age, and it's
You're just going to leave them. Get on with it then.
Until I get a bit of time, and then I'll decide what I want to do. I've heard you can use hair grips and things like that to hold them in place.
It's a messy job.
I know. I have done it before. That's why I'm not too in too much of a rush to do it, to be honest. Given that I've got plenty. Yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of. I think I'm kind of done with what I wanted to show you, but I'm just going to mooch around the apiary and show you some bees. This is my 2 entrance hive. Don't ask why this. So the reason there's 2 entrances is that, in fact, there are 3 entrances to this, but only 2 of them being used. So I was using this as a 3-frame nuke box, and then expanded it out, put the bees in there, and then because it has got a very small entrance and it's full of bees, I thought I'd better open up another entrance for them. But they're doing quite nicely.
How old is that hive?
The colony was a swarm I got last summer, and it is that there are 4 supers on top. 2 of them are full. I've already taken 3 supers off it. It's just incredible, and they're really peaceful bees as well.
Brilliant.
So that's really, really nice. What else we got? I'm just going to rattle on now. You're quite happy to kind of go. Here's another.
Barry?
Yeah.
Do you use special paint, or does it not matter? Any paint?
I didn't use. I think I just used some cuprinol stuff. But I think the idea is if you can leave it for a while before you put the bees in there, that's much better for them.
Right, is there something, I mean, because I like the different colours, I was just wondering if there's any
Right, yeah.
any logic about it.
To the colours, no, absolutely not. It's just whatever. It's either whatever colour I preferred or my daughter preferred, or whatever one we're doing it.
Barry,
I got some wicks.
Take them and then leave it a little bit before you put the bees there. Let the fumes die down or something.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Another question there?
Yeah, Barry, I just like your bike. So can we have a quick look at your bike again? So I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
The Beamobile.
Yeah.
The Beamobile.
We've got a tandem, which is fantastic, but we have to think about getting a Beamobile as well. Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
look
yeah.
at that's wonderful. Thank you very much. It's a cracker.
That is it.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
And it is. It was built for bees as well. So.
Marvelous. Thank you.
So this box at the front is exactly room for a beehive, and plus all my tools, so I can move bees from one place to the other without any problems.
That's awesome.
It is. It's amazing.
It's quite good fun. Anyway, enough of that. No.
Yourself.
Sorry.
You built the bike. You built the bike yourself.
Oh no! I built the box to go on the front. This thing, and this has got sort of this bars that stuff that comes off, so I can take the bars off. Anyway, you don't want to see that.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
I think it's awesome.
Right. Well, I think that's us done. I don't know if you've got any more questions. I'm quite happy to chat and answer questions when I can. Obviously, don't only know what I know, but I can. I'll show you these bees while we're.
Just a bit of a personal thing with my colony, Barry.
Yeah.
Shall I move that branch away slowly?
Oh, that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can move that away now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. I did. Yeah. Okay.
That must be Matt. Hi, Matt.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot you couldn't see.
Yeah, I can't see anything. Yeah, we got bees everywhere. It's great.
Lost video.
Oh,
thanks, Barry. I think we need to go and do our bees to see if we've got any queens.
Absolutely, yes. I'm keeping you away from your bees. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barry.